Good evening, friend. In today's video, what I'm trying to bring to you is a comparative study between India and China. India and China are two ancient civilizations and two of the biggest Asian countries. So their civilization date back to even 5 to 6,000 years ago, and the culture what you see today is a continuation of civilization that evolved some 5,000 years ago. So they lived side by side. So many millennium they have lived side by side, but still the interaction and is still the a kind of interaction that you see in the European country, you don't see it here. But still, they have many exchanges, many intellectual and cultural exchanges between them, and how their. So what we are going to see it here, how their relationship evolved and how they evolved from different millennia to different millennia, and what the situation being, what we are seeing around, how we came to that. So this video is going to trace that. So let's see and let's just start and see how it is all happening. Dragon versus tiger. It's a I think it's $1 billion question what is going on today. Let's start by looking into ancient civilization. We will see the comparative study between India and China. Look into the genesis of modern civilization, which happened around 1500 BC. Around in 1500 BC, it was the era for Vedic civilization for India. This was the Vedic period where Indo-Aryan culture was evolved in India, Vedic culture was evolved, and there was a time when many Vedas and was constituted in India. At the similar time in China, the Shang dynasty evolved. Historically, it is also known as Yin dynasty, and the people of this dynasty are believed to have used calendars and developed knowledge of astrology and math. So what happened? Was there any interaction between India and China in this period? No, there was no known interaction in this period. So India and China they were separate country and they're isolated country divided by the barrier of Himalaya. If you look the earliest civilization, modern civilization in the map, India's developed along the Gangetic Valley, which was somewhere around here. And China's Shang dynasty developed somewhere around in the coast here. So there were no interaction between these two civilizations. So there were no interaction between these two civilizations at the earliest one. So genesis of civilization, we saw that how the Vedic period was defining for India and similarly Shang dynasty was defining for China. The next is genesis of modern religion. So, at the similar time around 600 to 300 BC in India, as you know that Mahavir was born around in 550 BC and Gautam Buddha similarly at the same time at 563 BC he was born, and Mahavira was the proponent of Jainism and similarly Gautam Buddha was the proponent of Buddhism. At the similar time, around 551 BC, also, in China, Confucius was born, and he was officially elevated to Orthodox status. Though Confucianism is not a official religion, but it is a way of life. But it has a status of religion, similarly to what we see for the Buddhism or Jainism. Was there any relationship maintained or any interaction happened during this era? No. So in this era also there was no relationship which was maintained between these two civilizations. The next comes your great kingdom, which is starting from 325 BC. So in India we saw the Maurya Empire, which ruled India from 322 to 185 BCE. This unified most of the Indian subcontinent into one state and was the largest empire ever to exist on Indian subcontinent. Similarly, in China's Han Dynasty came at in this period, which went on beyond 1st AD. Han Dynasty was a golden age in Chinese history, and they depicted the long period of stability and prosperity, consolidated the foundation of India as a unified state. They have the central bureaucracy, and which was to last for most 2 millennia. It went till around 100 AD. During this time, there was interaction between India and China. Buddhism started spreading from this time from India to different part of world. So Asoka was a proponent of Buddhism, and he sent many emissary to different countries, and China was one of them. If you see on the map that how Buddhism spread from India and from the Gangetic Valley, which was the source of Buddhism, and it spread into different part of China. So it spread from, it went to this was the route it has taken. It went to Central Asia, and from Central Asia, it entered into China. So that's how Buddhism spread into from India to China. And earlier it was started from before BC itself, after the Mauryan Empire. We looked into ancient civilization. We saw how the modern ancient civilization started and how the great kingdom started in India and China at the same time, and similarly how the religion which had the profound impact in later period started at the same time. In India it was Buddhism and Jainism, and similarly in China it was Confucianism. Both started at the similar time. Now coming to the Middle Ages, we'll look into the classic period. So Middle Age, the classic period in India was Gupta Empire, which flourished from around 300 CE to 650 CE, around 3 centuries it flourished in India. In Gupta period, Gupta period was actually noted for cultural creativity, advancement in literature, science, architecture. So it was called the golden era of India. Similarly, in China, Tang dynasty at the similar time also evolved. So Tang dynasty is called golden age in Chinese civilization, where significant development happened in cultural, art, literature, science, poetry, and technology. The next era, is similarity between India and China's history, is age of foreign dynasty. Age of foreign dynasty started in India in late medieval period, starting around 1100 CE, when the Islamic civilization came into India from the Central Asian nomadic clans. India was ruled by multiple Delhi Sultanate and multiple emperors. There were different dynasties in between this period that ruled India. Similarly, in China, the Yuan dynasty starting from 1200 to 13 around 150 years. This was a dynasty which came from a great Khan of Mongol, Kublai Khan, and his grandson Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan assumed the additional title of Emperor of China, and he established Mongol Empire as Chinese dynasty. His was the first conquest dynasty in Chinese history to rule entire China properly. So it was a foreign conqueror who conquered China and ruled it there. From the next period onwards, there was a divergence in path, where India started declining for some time, China started prospering. So in India, there was no central strong government, so there was many small warring states which kept fighting among themselves. As opposite to that, in China, there was a Ming dynasty which brought a stable government in India, stable and effective government in China. So this was the era where there was a divergence in path, and India and China went on the different path. The last is last imperial dynasty. For India, it was the Mughal Empire. After then, the foreign rule started, and in China it was the Qing dynasty. So Mughal Empire started from around 1500 AD and it went on till 1858, and as opposed to Qing dynasty at the similar time started around 1600 and it went till 1912. 1912 China was proclaimed as republic on Jan 1st 1912. So as we saw in Middle East age how India and China evolved. In classic period there was the golden age. For India it was Gupta Empire, for China it was Tang dynasty. Similarly, age of foreign dynasties started in India around 11 to 1200 AD. For China, again, it was Yuan dynasty, first foreign conqueror who conquers the Chinese territory, and then divergence in path for them. When India, it was the chaos. During this time in China, it was the stability under Ming dynasty, and China prospered. Next, the last imperial dynasty for India was the Mughal Empire, and similarly for China, it was the Qing dynasty. After the medieval period, now the modern, what happened in modern history, which is actually starting from the 18th to 19th century. So if you look into that, the modern age was the age of foreign subjugation, not only for India but as well as for China also. So China, the cutting of Chinese laymen, where a sphere of influence was claimed by different powerful countries like France, Russia, Britain, Germany, and USA. So China was not exactly subjugated like India, where there was a complete subjugation by Britain on the rules for ruling in India. China, as opposite to that, China has the sphere of influence where different countries intervened in Chinese affairs, and they started dividing the China into their own sphere of influence. So this was the period where foreign government and foreign power dominated the China on their trade, on their uh, railway lines, on their technological development. So this was the era of foreign influence on China. Similarly, in India, it was the era of British Raj, where British ruled in India around for 200 years from 1700 till 1947 when India got independence. That was the story of how India and China evolved during the ancient time, during the medieval time, during the modern time, how their history evolved from there to here, and we saw how similar a trace of development that both country has evolved in. So next, what we are going to see their cultural exchanges. So in the period, India and China both are neighbor and they share long border which amount to around 3 to 4,000 kilometers. So these long shared border, how the cultural exchange happened between these two countries, we're going to look into that. The first cultural relationship, the biggest thing what comes into that's the Buddhism. Buddhism entered into Han China via the Silk Road, which we already have seen that from India Gangetic Valley where Buddhism was originated, it went to from there to Central Asia. Central Asia through Silk Road, it entered into China at the starting of first to second century CE. The exchange flourished under the rule of Kanishka, and today, China by far had the largest population of Buddhists in the world, around 250 million, far ahead of Thailand, which come at second place. So this is how you see on the screen that how Buddhism from India is spread from India to Central Asia to China, then from India, South India to through the sea route of Indian Ocean to South Asian countries. Next, we will see the visitors who visited from India to China, and important visitors who visited from China to India, who actually contributed in development of relation and cultural exchanges. So from India to China, the main personality was Buddhavrada. Buddhavrada was a Pallav prince, who was first abbot of Shaolin Monastery. He actually established the Shaolin Monastery, and he actually hailed from the southern India. He took South Indian martial arts such as Kalarippayattu or Silambam to Shaolin, and thus resulted in a new technique called Kung Fu in China and surrounding region. So according to the record, he is known as Batao in China. He came to China around 464 and preached there. So Buddha was an important personality which took from India the many arts of martial arts and as well as Buddhism to China, and was the leading personality in development of China's Shaolin monastery. So we have seen how exchange happened between India and China from travelers from India to China. From China to India also there are many important personality in history who traveled and recorded their journals in that we are seeing today. So cultural exchange we look into China and India. The first and foremost it comes it's Fahin. Fahin, which is known as Faxian, he came during Gupta kingdom on foot from ancient China to ancient India. Then in next around after Gupta Empire, many Chinese scholars and monks traveled to India and studied in Nalanda University in Bihar, which was the world's most famous university and housed around 10,000 students at a time. The one of the most important traveler from China was Zhuangzhang, who is also known as Huan Tizang, came into during the time of Harsa Empire. He became famous for his 17-year overland journey to India, including Nalanda. His journey was actually inspired the book Journey to the West, which is one of the four great classical novels in Chinese literature. The next comes was Yi Jing. Yi Jing, also called as I Jing or I Tsing. He was the Chinese Buddhist monk. He traveled India all over India and also Indonesia. He was responsible for translation of many Buddhist texts from Sanskrit and Pali into Chinese. So if you look into the Yi Jing travel, he started travel from the sea route. He took the sea route and he came from the Southeast Asia, the Strait of Malacca, and then he came to Magda, you saw West Bengal today's and traces to the North India. So that was the route which was taken by Yi Jing to come to India. Zhuangzhang traveled India extensively for 17 years. So he basically traveled entire all over India, everywhere, and he went to every part of India, South as well as North India. We have seen the cultural exchanges between India and China and different famous travelers who actually contributed a lot between relationship between India and China. The next is the trade relationship between India and China in ancient India. So trade relationship also flourished in between India and China in ancient as well as medieval time. So first it was with the Cholas kingdom. So Cholas was the Tamil king and they maintained the strong relationship between China, it was said, even during the starting of the time which was first AD. So relationship between Chinese and Chola actually is said to date back to the 2nd century BC and it actually continued in around a time of 1000 AD. Even after the 1000 years when the Rajan Chola was the king of the Chola Empire. And trade flourished in his time between his kingdom and China. So if you see on the screen on the map, you can see the Chola territory, which was on the southern India, Tamil Nadu and Kerala of the current present. And Chola's territory, Chola influence went back to West Bengal and then also South Asian countries. Their influence was widespread and they traded with China on through the sea route, where the current Malacca Strait to Chinese port. So there are definite proof and many texts of trades happening between South Indian Kingdom and China. And China also sent many emissary to South Indian Kingdom, which actually came to Kerala and Tamil Nadu. So these trade route was a widespread between China and India during the ancient time as well as the medieval time. Now we will see how the relationship unfolded in modern time, modern era. So what was the different phases in which the relationship in modern era prospered or worsened? Before pre-independence of India, when India got independence in 1947, in 1949 when China was proclaimed as communist republic. Before pre-independence, East India Company used opium grown in India as export to China. So British also used their Indian sepoy, Indian army in opium war and Boxer rebellion against China. So there was no direct contact, but British era extensively used India for growing opium and selling it into China. And then during the rebellion and war, they used Indian soldier in China. After the independence, it was called era of bonhomie when two countries warmed to each other, given their newfound freedom, given their newly state status. So on 1st October 1949, Chinese Liberation Army defeated Kuomintang, the Nationalist Party, which went into later on becoming the Taiwan, and they started ruling China. In 1947, India became a democratic republic, and India was the first country to recognize, first non-communist socialist country in Asia to recognize China. India recognized China on 1950. In 1954, India and People Republic of China (PRC) signed an 8-year agreement on Tibet, and they also signed a five principle of peaceful coexistence, which called Panchsheel. After this period comes the next period, which is the era of conflict. So after around 10 to 15 years of peace and 10 to 15 years of bonhomie comes the era of conflict. So border dispute resulted in short war between People Republic of China and India on 1962. In 1967, again there were the conflict between India and China on a question of Sikkim. In 1970s, one war, PRC, People Republic of China, sided with Pakistan against India. Though they sided with Pakistan and strongly condemned India, they did not carry out its well threat to intervene on Pakistan's behalf. They remained neutral, they did not intervene in war, but they sided with Pakistan. The next era comes the era of cautious cooperation, where India and China, both given their status and status of developing country and widespread poverty and widespread low growth, they started cooperating with each other in order to attain the higher growth. In 2003, China officially recognized India's sovereignty over Sikkim. So they resolved border dispute on Sikkim in 2003. 2004 was a milestone in India-China bilateral trade where they surpassed $10 billion mark for the first time. 2005, India and China signed strategic and cooperative partnership for peace and prosperity, and they become the strategic partner. On 2006, after 44 years, they reopened Nathula, a mountain pass between eastern Himalaya and connecting Tibet, China to Sikkim in India. So this was the period where they cooperated with each other on multiple forum where it was World Trade Center or it was the climate negotiation. They cooperated with each other in IMF in multiple world forum and uh, presented a consolidated case. The next is coming very recent resurgence of conflicts. In 2020, China and India struck clash in Nathula, Sikkim, and similarly, they also clashed in Galgan Valley conflict, where 20 Indian soldiers were reportedly killed in action. This is a new era where conflicts are resurging after 40 to 50 years of peaceful coexistence. So that is how India and China relationship evolved after before pre-independence, after independence, and they had some conflict after 1960 in the border. There was a period where they cooperated with each other on multiple world forum, and again the resurgence of conflict which happened recently, very recently in 2020. That is how the relationship unfolded is unfolding between India and China in modern era. Currently, China has the border dispute with 18 countries. So China is a big country and it shares border with multiple countries and it has dispute with 18 of them. I'll just give a brief, not go over a detail on them. So China has border dispute with Japan, Vietnam, India, Nepal, North Korea, Philippines, Russia, Singapore, South Korea, Bhutan, Taiwan, Laos, Brunei, Tajikistan, Cambodia, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Mongolia. So China is very big country, and as you see in the map, it has multiple neighbors including India, Nepal, Bhutan, Tajikistan, similarly Afghanistan somewhere from here. Then Kazakhstan, Mongolia has a big border. With Russia also they have border. And then North Korea land border they have, and they share sea border with South Korea and sea border with Japan. Similarly, they share land border with Vietnam, Laos, Thailand, Myanmar. So it shares borders, either land border or sea border with multiple countries. So it's a very vast countries, and it has conflict with over 18 countries for land or sea border. China also claim entire South China Sea, but if you see as per the convention, UN clause convention, South China Sea, what you are seeing it here, China entirely claimed this, but basically Vietnam claimed its area as per the UN Convention on Sea, and similarly Philippines and Malaysia. So it has dispute on South China Sea with the different countries. Keeping the dispute aside, now let's see the comparison between GDP of India and China. So India and China GDP, which is estimated, what you are seeing from this is the PPP estimation. So if you see in the 180, India has commanded 33% of GDP in world. So India commanded 33% and China commanded 26% at first AD. At 1000 AD, if you see by the 1000 AD, India had 29% of GDP while China at 22.7%. 1500, the dynamic changed and India and China became almost similar in a world. So, but still, they still commanded around 50% of GDP together, 25% each. So before first AD, if you can see, India and China actually commanded 60% of world GDP in first AD, but their shares reduced gradually. So by the time they reached around 1870, India's share was 12.25%. Similarly, China's share was 17%. So India and China similar they had the similar GDP till 1990. If you can see till 1990, India and China GDP was similar 320 and 360. But China took flight after then, and China had growth of around 9%, 10%, while India grew by 5 to 6%. So China grew multiple times, and its GDP became multiple of now it is 4 to 4.5 times of India's GDP in current. So current is in 2020 it is expected $3.2 trillion for India, while it is $15.4 trillion for China. So that is a projected before it was projected before the COVID-19, but it might reduce given the contraction happening because of COVID-19. But this was the situation before COVID-19. So 2050 projection when is India GDP will be $42 trillion, and it will be world's second largest, and China will be world largest GDP by $61 trillion, and US will be on third position with $41 trillion. That was the project. That is the projection for 2050. So we saw the GDP comparison between India and China. Let's see how the GDP came in the next period. So if you see the comparison in 1890, India and China, was on the similar. China was little bit larger and India was little bit less. Similarly, 1820 comparison in 215, which is projected. 1700, you can see India was the largest economy in the world. Second China, then France and Japan and Italy, which were way behind India and China. 1500 again, India and China was the largest, other countries were way behind. And this is the 1930 projection where again India and China was the similar, but United States had now overtaken them. If you look into the comparison between India and China nominal and PPGDP, so you will see China after 1990, both China had taken off in big time, while India lagged behind. India did grow, but it did not grow in the pace of China, so it lagged behind. So by 1990, India and China was on the similar position, but after 1990, they started going in the different direction. 1990, their GDP was similar, but after 1990, China took a flight and grew in the exponential way. India grew, but in the moderate terms, so it was left far behind China. So difference in the nominal term, if you see, it's a huge. That is your difference in the nominal term between India and China from 1990 to till now. GDP per capita is the similar story. China grew a lot. So now China GDP per capita in nominal terms, if you see, it is around $8,000 per year, while India is stagnating around 1,500. So China, there is a difference of China is around 4 times, more than 4 times, around 4.5 times India GDP and GDP per capita. So that was a brief comparative study between India and China. So if we look into more details, it will take months and months to understand India and China's ancient history as well as the modern dynamics. But we saw in the brief how ancient civilization of India and China, how the genesis of modern civilization happened, and how the modern religion happened, generated is at the similar time in India and China, and then how the Great Kingdom started during the 933 for 25, and for the Middle Ages we saw that how the classic period, which was the golden age for India, Gupta Empire, and for China it was the Tang dynasty, and then age of foreign dynasty happened where the both a country was invaded from the foreign. India, it was Islamic that was the Sultanate, Delhi Sultanate, and it came from the Central Asian nomadic clans. Similarly, for China, it was also the Mongol, which was the Kublai Khan. They established the kingdom in China. They were diverged in the path for a brief period where China was the stable, prosperous central government, but India did not have any central government, and there was the many small warring kingdom which kept fighting among themselves. Then came the last imperial dynasty for Mongol dynasty for India, and similarly for China for King dynasty. Mongol was the last dynasty for India, and King was also the last. After then, both countries become the republic. Then a foreign subjugation happened after the last dynasty for China. It was the sphere of influence established by multiple countries like France, Russia, Britain, Germany, and USA. India was dominated by British, and it was ruled by one country, which was United Kingdom. Cultural exchange between India and China happened through the Buddhism. Buddhism spread from India to China through Central Asia, and it prospered between 100 BC till 4 to 500 and went beyond till 1000 AD. And cultural exchange, which is the prominent personality who actually contributed a lot between cultural exchange in India and China. From India, it was Buddha Brother, who was a Pallab prince and who took the martial art from India to China, and who took Buddhism from India to China also. And from China there was multiple travelers who came to India to learn Buddhism and to learn to trace the ancient text of Buddhism. The foremost among them is Fa Hin, which also called Fakjian. Then many Chinese scholars traveled to India who studied in Nalanda University in Bihar. Foremost among them is Yuan Chang or Juan Zhang, and then Ji Jing. Ji Jing or I Sing or T Sing he is called. He was responsible for translation of many Buddhist texts from Chinese and Pali into text from Sanskrit and Pali into Chinese. Then trade relationship in ancient time also flourished with China. Chola Empire in around 2nd BC till the 10th BC, AD, they had maintained the relationship with China through sea route. So many South Indian kingdoms similarly had a trade relationship with China. Then in modern era, how the relationship unfolded, we trace through that. Pre-independence, Britain used to grow opium in India and export to China. After independence, India and China was their relationship flourished and they signed the Panchshil agreement. But an era of conflict happened when the India and China fought. In 1962, in 1967 also they had a conflict over Sikkim, and China sided with Pakistan in 1971 war with India. After then, after 1990, the era of cautious cooperation started, where China and India understood each other's importance and they cooperated in many world forums. Currently, it is conflict is resurging again on the border issues, and it is unfolding, and we will have to see how it is unfolding in coming days. China has multiple border dispute between 8 different countries, 18 in total. So they have either border dispute, a land dispute, or dispute on the sea border. And then we saw the comparison between two economy. India and China dominated around 60% of world economy in first AD. They maintained this domination till 1800 and till in 19th century, where they shared around 50% of world GDP. Till 1990, India and China were on equal footing where their economy was similar. But after 1990, China took off and it grew with around 10 to 11% of high economic growth, while India had a moderate growth. So China took off, and right now it has economy which is 4 to 5 times of India's economy. We also saw the economic comparison in largest economy in world. So till 1700 and 1500, and in fact till 1800, India and China was the biggest economy, and other countries like France, Italy, and Germany or Japan were lagging far behind India and China. We saw the comparative study of India and China GDP in PPP or in nominal terms and GDP per capita, and we saw that how till 1990 they were similar, but after 1990 China took a flight, but India grew with a moderate, and the gap increased a lot between the two countries. So that is it for today's comparative study between India and China. I hope you like this video. The next, what we are going to trace through, we are going to trace through the European history, a particular period which is called the Holy War and Holy Roman Empire, where we have the, which is also called Crusade, that happened in around medieval era in Europe. We will see that how that unfolded and changed the history of Europe. By the time, keep watching. If you like my video, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Bye bye. See you till the next time. Thank you.